Hello everyone, this is EdRay1416 here with a two-part video on the controversial subject of law enforcement versus private security. Ever notice how much crime has gone up over the years? While the number of homicides have gone down due to more people carrying guns, the crime rate in regards to burglary, assault, regardless of what it is, and vandalism are through the roof. While law enforcement can still serve good purposes in busting prostitution rings, cracking down on fraud, cracking down on scammers, including panhandlers, and arresting people for doxing, there are still limitations on what law enforcers can do. Remember, we have to pay taxes in order to fund the police department and pay the officers their salaries. Even with good equipment, the police cannot patrol the streets regularly. This is a problem because in high crime rate areas, which can include the ghetto, people are strung out on drugs or they see something valuable and they want to sell stuff on the black market for big dollars. Stereos, jewelry, TVs, and precious metals like gold, copper, and silver. People in the ghetto can be very calculated in an attempt to make money on the black market. Because of the police not being able to patrol the streets regularly, people, regardless of race, can break into someone's house, steal their stuff, and the victims are devastated. But if the residents are there, the burglar can either pull a knife, pull a gun, or take a victim in the room and make an example out of them. These are serious crimes in which law enforcement wouldn't be able to stop them before the worst case scenario occurs. And that's why violent crime rates are going up here in America. Not everyone has a gun, so there has to be an alternative to law enforcement if a person cannot buy a gun. I know people are disrespectful to the police and I've had issues with the police in the past, but in general, I do respect the police despite working a grueling job to get paid very little. I may not respect some of their tactics, but I will admit when a cop gets gunned down due to people wanting anarchy, it reminds us of how chaotic things can get without the police. The police that are civil and do things correctly by the book are the ones you can look up to if you feel that your life is threatened. The police that are assholes and initiate force without reason are the ones you do not want to deal with. The police that act aggressively and intimidate the taxpayers are the ones that will issue fines to get extra money. When money corrupts the folks that are supposed to protect and serve the public, what will you do in the event of a burglary? This is where private security comes in. The purpose of private security is to protect a certain radius of a neighborhood that has been heavily plagued with criminal activity in the past. What private security does is patrol the streets constantly, watch for suspicious activities, and respond to criminal activities. Unlike the police, if private security is in the area when a person breaks into a house, they'll be there in 30 seconds. This means response times are much faster than if you call the police. Once again, the police are not always around, especially in high crime areas. In the case of a high crime area like ghettos, that's where private security is needed the most. Why? Because not everyone in that area has a gun. Not everyone is privileged to have a gun. Considering how pricey law enforcement is on tax dollars, hiring private security can cost you 8 times less than law enforcement. So if people in the ghetto can save enough money and hire private security, you could hire 8 security guards for the cost of 1 police officer. Could you imagine how safe ghettos would be if private security patrolled the ghetto? This means the police will have leverage to bust up black markets. This also means that kids are safe to play outside, and at night, if private security finds suspicious people in the neighborhood looking like they're about to break in somebody's house, they will be there to either ask them questions or detain them to protect the citizens. This means people in the ghetto can sleep comfortably without being alarmed over burglaries. Now for those that smoke pot or do other drugs, if you do drugs inside the home, private security cannot break in nor detain you for possession of a drug or being under the influence. As long as you're not violent, private security will respect your privacy. So for anyone that smokes a joint, if you hire private security, you are safe to smoke your joint. But if law enforcement invades your property without a warrant, then you are in trouble. Remember, the ghetto is not only for black people, the ghetto can be for white people, Hispanic people, Asian people, anybody that is poor. In the ghetto, you have to protect your own property. Unlike the wealthy, you have to protect your property. So you could either stock up on guns or hire private security to patrol the vicinity of where you live. Coming up on part 2, private security for parking lots. Anyway, I'm Ed Ray, and I'm out of here.